here, but Cap's uncertain if he wins this now. Rising Spell Torsion to Fresskowy, giving him so much more. Flash forward the oh! And now it's Mikyx who's been caught out. Mikyx who's in trouble because the trigger seed is there, and Mikyx, he's probably going to be triggered after that one. Double kill.
Just kill Leona, kill Leona, kill Leona. Kill.
Going in.
Just kill him first. Yeah, Ivan! Ja, ute. Det står. Nice. Go Ashe.
Movement speed steroid coming in from the ulti. The Cloud Soul there to back him up. Doing a hell of a lot more than Smolder's mom is Broken Blade.
I've got Dylan here with me. Maybe he's stressed. I assume so. We're about 10 minutes into game 2. How stressed are you?
I think I'm doing okay. We had the reverse sweep last week against Vedius, and this game seems to be going all right so far. So far so good.
Absolutely, you needed that after game 1. What went wrong in the draft, you think? You feel like you overcooked, you were baited in? What happened?
I think a lot of what we tried in game 1 actually has some goodness to it, for sure. I think like Yasuo Gwen against MF can be very good. We can block the ulti, we can win a lot of fights. I think when we really overcommit on a mid fight and get aced into Baron, the game suddenly becomes very difficult. So we're more looking at that decision making and going into the next games.
Okay. Are you surprised at the level of MDK coming out of this game 1? I think a lot of people thought that they would not be able to replicate what they showed versus you a few weeks ago.
No, I think they can definitely win a game against anyone in Europe if given the chance. They played us in a close series and won. They played Fnatic in a close series and lost. So it's looking like this one's pretty close as well. So I'm not surprised.
I'll let you go back. Thank you.
A lot of confidence here on the side of Dylan Falco, and rightfully so, honestly, with G2, as they come back here in Game 2 against MDK. A better approach, an easier one as well.
I mean, we were actually a bit confused with it in the beginning when we were going through the draft, because we were looking at how they could make adaptations for the first one in terms of what their priority was. A lot of the things Odo and I discussed, G2 did agree on as well, because they were kind of getting rid of that Ashe first pick. They were trying to ban away the Maokai, which seemed like a mega broken priority pick for both teams. And actually going away with it, we kind of liked what MDK had.
I was a lot more on the side of MDK, because I do feel like G2 made some adaptations to the draft where the trades were a little bit more balanced in the terms of power picks. But I felt like it was a lot easier for MDK to play out from the draft. But going into game, I just think that G2's adaptations and the way they approached the early mid-game was just stellar. Yeah, because, you know, they have the flex pick on the Smolder. They get Myrwn to have a range top laner into K'Sante that just gets that free scaling. We've seen what Fresskowy can do with an Ezreal in previous games as well. He showcased it in this second game too, with getting a first blood on Caps, which is quite incredible. But it's really the thing that happens later into the game that then really just makes G2 as good as they are.
Then talk us through it then. How did it happen? Because it feels like G2 took quite a bit of time to get the ball running, but once they did, they never let the game go, and it came through map movements, setting up objectives, Odo, and they did that phenomenally.
Well, it starts with this mid-fight, because even though Caps is getting chunked, right now, Ezreal is the one who has to reset, and now MF is coming over to take over this lane. BB gets a very important move here, and then he will later come to mid, but at the same time, given from like the fact that Yike and Mikyx are still so tanky here, now G2 is in a position where they can do so many plays at the same time. BB finds this amazing catch on Supa. They're taking Drake, and at the same time now they're gonna pivot it to bot lane.
And it's just gonna continue because, as you already said, tempo advantage just because of how the lanes worked around. Now Supa is dead, which means they can just go through with the resets, start pushing these lanes out again. They know they can be the first one on drops again, so they're just gonna do that. Slow push into a fast push here from BB, getting the priority for drops.
And what does Elyoya do here? Elyoya, all of a sudden, he's the paramedic here. He needs to go to bot lane because bot lane was on fire. Now he needs to go to mid lane because they need to do something. And now all of a sudden Yike is just taking his sweet old time to farm full clear, get the second set of grabs. BB is still pushing on this top tower, and all of a sudden in the span of 2 minutes G2 gets around 2.5k gold, and everyone just unleashed on the map from a position where they had 2 to 3 losing lanes.
And it's quite incredible because it's one of those games where you should never really be able to get both Drakes and 6 drops in the early game, but they managed to do it, and it's through great map movement from G2, but also through MDK dropping the ball. If you're an Ezreal who's getting first blood, you need to continue that priority in the mid lane and make the game easier for the rest of your team. And when it came into those 3-3s, the lane assignments, and when they really wanted to band-aid where people needed to be, that's why G2 just took advantage of their pole positioning and then completely just steamrolled that mid to early game.
And that's the thing, taking the right opportunities on the side of G2, and it's kind of checkmate after that. How are you going to come back on the side of MDK?
Well, in that game specifically, they need to drop someone because they were still playing like they still have the tempo to make plays and whatnot, and it just all culminates in this Baron fight, because from now on K'Sante is just so huge, and the brand is so accelerated, there's just not much you can do.
Yeah, and to really give you the context, right, MDK has been playing this game now just trying to scale, trying to get items to come back. They've dropped dragons, they've dropped their turrets, they've dropped their priority, but now Baron's on the map and they feel like, okay, we can't drop anymore, we need to fight. But G2 has just been so good at getting all the standing gold that's been on the map to the point where they will just straight up win because they're so far ahead through their great macro.
And it's kind of the thing, we like the idea that MDK came up with in the first place, but it doesn't leave a lot of room when you want to come back. So maybe something to refine coming into the next game. But I want to give some props to Yike because he's been hiding. He's been a bit shy among this G2 lineup lately. And coming in clutch this game on a pink that we know he's really, really good on. Coming here and having the carry potential that we come from him, I feel like this is what is going to give him the confidence that maybe has been missing so far.
Exactly, because game one didn't really go his way. Most of the skirmishes that went bad were from him being a little bit more over-eager with his pick and trying to do great stuff. Hey, get out of here. Pikachu, get out of here.
It's a B! But I agree with Yoda as well, just because he was great at getting ahead just through camps instead. But it was really when it came down to the fights that they started to overforce. And there's no overforce from G2 in the fights here. They knew exactly what they wanted to do.
When you think about next game, whoever wins next game is going to bring us to the first match point of the series. That's a huge mental advantage, but that's also going to be a way of showing who's prepped better in this series and who's ready to take it up until the end and face off against Fnatic tomorrow. So what have we learned so far in this series and what is the expectation coming into Game 3, considering the fact that side is not going to change again?
Well, it's going to be a back and forth. Even if it's going to match point, I doubt it's going to be the last one because both of these teams are adapting so well. Even now with MDK taking a little more of a balanced approach, the top lane picks are not so atomic, for a lack of a better word. We saw the cannon, we saw the Smolder. It's typical MDK fashion, but it is a little bit more stable. And even though they lost this game, I still think their approach was good, and we're going to see a lot of more spice in game 2.
No, absolutely. It's one of those games that just came down to decision-making, and, you know, they really dropped the ball in the early game where they just couldn't equalize their comfort picks into something better. I still think MDK coming out of that game know what went wrong, and they know the adaptations that they need to apply. I still think we have a very competitive series ahead of us.
Any picks that we want to remove from the table or any adaptation that we want to see on either side here, that's going to give them the advantage?
I don't know. I like the G2 approach that they adapted, at least with some of the bans coming through into this one. It definitely set them up for more success, not having to go for a Renekton, but could actually just say, okay, we already got K'Sante in the first rotation, we have a Corki, and we got enough junglers left open for Yike to be comfortable. If anything, maybe MDK want to change the priorities in terms of who they're pinpointing out.
Anything you want? Sorry, I don't know to add something up.
No, I like G2's approach because I do feel like they can still kind of throw a little oddball here and still go for the first pick Maokai, because I feel like it's still in their comfort zone in that sense. It's just, I really like that they took it out of the park by taking the 2 picks away, even though it was their picks, and now just spicing it up. I would still like to put Hans a little bit more on a more defining role, because trading Ashe and MF is okay, but I think that taking one of them out would give them a lot more leverage.
And this evening is young and full of surprises yet as G2 comes back 1-1 in this series so far against MDK. Let's send it over to casters for Game 3.
Thank you very much, Laure. We are moments away from getting a champ select from Game 3. And look, at this point, I'm ready for all-out arms race.
3-0, gentlemen. Like, you know, I'm excited about that. Like, EU has been very big.
I mean, you're not supposed to have a prediction as a caster, but I guess we know what it was now.
Well, it's more that around the world, we've been seeing a lot of 3-0s, you know, and I didn't want a 3-0 weekend, you know what I mean? So,
the LPL was a bit of a
Take that,
LPL.
Now, excited to see how things shift. I don't expect the Viban to disappear. I imagine that Tristana is going to stay on the boards. Azir likely to follow that with the Maokai. So G2 going to replicate what they did in Game 2. Mad Lions, I imagine the Azir is next. Now, will the Rel come through once more? Yes, it will.
Okay.
So this will be the question mark. This is the part that I expect to change the most. Are they going to stick with the Zyra? Are they going to shake things up? They're going to stick with the Zyra ban. So Corki first pick.
I wonder if they less aggressively pick the Ivern early. We saw in a lot of those early fights that while Ivern can provide a lot of utility, the brand damage was just a bit too much. And now instead, the Lillia going to be locked in for Elyoya, looking for that more high damage AP option.
I also still do like the Smolder here. Smolder is a decent option into Corki. 70 just going to get to farming up into that late game. Now with the Lillia though, going a little bit more of a DPS carry in that jungle should help in just getting control and matching some of that early aggression from Yike, especially if he goes back towards the brand. Trying to play for that big sleep in a team fight could work out well.
Yeah, Ashe naturally going to be locked in for G2. Should come as no surprise. They're happy to make that Ashe MF trade. The jungle pick going to be the brand once more, so G2 looking to run back the same composition. Of course, Cassandre, very high priority. It was something the Bad Lions banned in game 1, but then they left open for game 2. You have to imagine that's going to return to the ban table in exchange for something like the Braum or the Renata. I don't see why they would be too concerned about those bans. But let's see. They're still contemplating, still debating what they want to remove from the board. Looks like they're going to stick with the Braum.
I think basically G2 are saying Mad Lions Koi probably going for a big wombo combo. You've already got that sleep into the bullet time, which means you don't ever wake up from the sleep while that bullet time is going off. So having further combos within that is probably going to work out incredibly well for you. So I am curious to see how they want to try and approach again. I think Alvaro going towards something like an Analyst or something that can set up for a big sleep from Lillia is probably going to be what MDK are trying to fish for here.
For now, debating what the second ban should be. Really taking the time. Uncertain, and it remains the Braum and the Renata.
I mean, the only thing that has changed in this draft is that there's a Lillia now.
Yeah. They needed more legs. That was the problem.
Right.
Ivern, not enough.
Not going to be banned. So the question now is, are they going to pick Leona? Yes, they are. Yeah. They're giving us the salty run back, Drakos.
To be fair, from G2's side, it makes a lot of sense. And I think if you are MDK, you can say, hey, if we just had a little bit more damage coming out of the jungle position or a little bit higher clear speed, things would be easier. But G2, yeah, okay, 100% the run back, but now Mad Lions Koi, that's the curveball.
That's what I was going to say. I think the difference maker is the fact that we're not going to get triple AD carry. It's going to be more for this team fight style. We're still getting the Smolder into the top side, which I'm a little bit surprised at, but I thought we'd get in the mid lane to match the Corki, but Yone, a very cool pick, and I'm excited to see what Fresskowy can bring to the table with this.
Fresskowy on Yone, a champion that we definitely don't associate with him, but especially with how he's been playing and feeling so far in the season finals, I'm excited to see what he can do with the champion. Over in the LCK, they were the ones that introduced it as a solid answer into the Corki. Your ability to match him on side is going to be incredibly powerful. Your side lane threat, the versatility that Yone also has in build itemization. I mean, MEMS is fine as so I'm rushing a bramble vest, right? You can do all sorts of things with this champion. Vest. That's what I'm saying, right? It's crazy. So the champion is very versatile, and MDK have introduced two big shifts, and that is in that mid-jungle position.
Definitely is. Elyoya, of course, the one that I'm keeping my eye on, and especially how MDK are able to navigate these fights. We saw in game 1 how good they can be when they have the tools to pull ahead in team fights. And while it's a very different composition in game 3, a similar amount of tools, so much good follow-up engage between the Yone, between the Lillia sleep, Leona, if she can get things kicked off, makes it so easy for the rest of the team.
I think the big factor that it introduces is something that can match Caps in the side lane. Both the Smolder and now Fresskowy on this Yone can actually do work against the Corki, so it becomes less of a big threat as long as Caps doesn't get off these big leads, and then you can leverage that into the opportunity to look for picks, look for fights, playing off of the Leona ult, the sleep, and that big MF ult. But we're going to have to see how this one's going to pan out as we lock ourselves into game number 3.
Perhaps a reset on the aggression that we saw from game 2, game 1, if you missed it. Very quiet early on as Mikyx, a cheeky look over the wall, won't find the knockup. Will at least find Myrwn waiting in the brush. G2, potentially an aggressive level 1 here, but a nice ward from MDK would spot out any potential invade.
At least fishing for the early level 1. At the end of the day, it doesn't really break anything on G2. They just get to reset and move into their lanes. Broken Blade, though, he's kind of sticking around on this bottom side. I'm not sure entirely what they're up to.
It's a lane swap.
I mean, sure,
He's
but
still bot lane. Okay, maybe not. I mean, the commitment to getting that information where Myrwn was on the top side suggests at least that they were considering it or respecting the potential of a lane swap from MDK, but Myrwn, a terrible lane swap champion.
I was going to say, I don't think it's MDK who would love to opt into that, but we're just going to have standard instead. as it looks like both junglers starting on this top side. So I think a lot of focus now on trying to get this bottom control, especially because Hans Sama, we've seen time and time again, gets first push.
And of course, thinking about it now, covering the Raptors invade from Lillia, very common level 1 start. Perhaps the more logical conclusion for Broken Blade's early movement. As Hans Sama continues to step up, gets down a bit of damage. Again, exact same bot lane matchup. See if it plays out the same way. Jungle, really where we're going to keep our eyes, as well as mid lane. Myrwn not changing his summoner choice. Sometimes you do see the Ghost top lane or the Smolder to handle that 1v1 matchup.
Naturally, you would expect in mid Caps to have that push. Looks like Supa and Alvaro going to get the early level 2. Ooh.
Timing not quite right from Mikyx. Was trying to catch Zenith Blade in. Going to cost him a bit as Hans Sama quickly burning through those pots. Q flash from Alvaro. The clench from Hans Sama stops any other follow-up.
You can look for MDK on the bounce back though, and I think that's where you're going to be in a little bit of trouble here as Hans Sama, as both summoner spells already burned, and Alvaro can still look for that Hex Tech flash, but you have Yike moving down to this bottom side, so should be able to match any sort of play. It's more going to be about that early scuttle for the junglers that should go to MDK with this bot pressure now.
Caps taking a decent chunk of damage, trying to poke back. Fresskowy doing all right. Natural sustain of Yone, frustrating to play against, as well as the Q3. And the bottom lane you highlighted, Rob, the heal and the cleanse gone. Alvaro packing Ignite and the Hex Flash as well means G2 might have to play a bit more passive for the next few minutes in the bottom lane.
He's going to look to sweep out Vision, maybe even set up for an early Yike gank. Supa can't really do much to stop Mikyx. Those level 3s now going to tick over. Should be very soon for Mikyx as well. There it is. All right, so both junglers hovering around the bot side of the map. Mikyx.
Slow hits onto Supa. A little bit extra movement speed from the strut active as he walks right out of the knockup. Yike now spotted. Continuing to step up, the Hex Flash from Alvaro onto Hans. They're going to try to body block any further damage. Guardian proc is there, but Supa can't quite get through the minions. Alvaro on the other hand can. Looking for the knockup, extra healing now coming in from Hans. Doesn't have the range. Battle ends again.
Not enough there. Barely Hans Sama is able to escape away, but I thought the burn from Elyoya might have been enough. He hits him with the bowling ball through the minions, but the shield just enough from Mikyx.
The wave is in a great spot for MDK's bot lane, though. Slowly going to push towards them. Fresskowy with a nice trade onto Caps. Sets himself up well in terms of the 1 versus 1. And immediately Elyoya, notice he's gotten the bot crab, turns his attention towards the top one, knowing that Yike has to go for the reset. One of the big advantages of this champion is just how quickly you move through the jungle and how much mobility you have on the map. And a lot of farm now being lost for Hans Sama.
Difficult situation to be in. The bot lane matchup in every single game, regardless of who won out in the end, has been incredibly tense, incredibly bloody. Early summoners consistently traded back and forth, and Hans now, as you highlighted, losing out by a decent margin, not able to go for a luxury item like the Cole, instead forced for some early boots just to try to retain an advantage in lane.
But again, you've seen how aggressive Alvaro has been in this Leona, so I think the main factor is going to be, hey, what does Elyoya do after he clears his bot side, or sorry, top side, moves into bottom and starts to put pressure on towards Hans Sama and Mikyx once more. There will be a slow push building, and you're going to have Fresskowy go for a reset. I could easily see this be a dive in the next 2 minutes that if MDK are looking to try and set up.
Hans, frustrated, obviously with 2 members showing and a level advantage. He just has to sit here and wait for the wave to eventually come to him. MDK, how do they want to use that lane cryo? Not even going to drop ward, super close to having it, but instead just going for an easy reset. No action yet in the bottom side of the map. Level 5 for Fresskowy, about to tick over to level 6. Difficult to land that Yone ult reliably on a player who is ready for it, but with the potential sleep from Lillia right around the corner as Elyoya ticks to 5. Could be an easy setup if they can find the angle.
Especially if you have Alvaro starting to get that setup as well. He's hovering around the mid lane. Caps just ticked over to level 6 as well. MDK, I think, looking for a dragon, but could also still look for a play on the bottom side. Mikyx trying to put a bit of pressure on towards Supa so he can't get this wave contest.
Caps pulling the wave away, hoping to at least set up a freeze, maybe bait a bit more jungle pressure out from Elyoya, or potentially force Fresskowy to overextend.
Both teams probably feeling pretty comfortable right now. We think back to previous game in G2, there was a lot of scrapping, remember, within the first 10 minutes of the game, kind of trades, kills back and forth. Caps ends up dying 1v1 in the mid lane. There was the overcommitment in the bot lane, 2 versus 2. And Elyoya really couldn't contest any objectives. It was super hard for him to really do much with the pressure that he had with his lanes. And that means that they conceded a lot. This time around, though, you're seeing the difference. Fresskowy continues to do a good job, even though he's a bit behind in farm. That's kind of what you'd expect in this matchup. But Elyoya, at the very least, is able to secure the Dragon.
Good control over the mid lane now for G2 though, because Fresskowy, under a ton of pressure, I don't think they are. I think they're going to look maybe for the top side instead. Myrwn going to reset, because I think G2 could have looked for a potential play on towards Smolder with that reset and lane swap coming through for Hansama as well.
Oh yeah, covering the bottom lane. Supa might be able to get level 6 quickly here. Yike zoning, really nowhere for Fresskowy to go. Luckily, that blast cone perfectly placed to take him out to safety as G2 happy to grab a plate, leveraging the power of the 3 grub buffs they picked up early on. But as you gentlemen highlighted, this game a different story because G2 couldn't take every objective on the map. Alvaro trying to make his presence known in mid, quick flash, quick response. The Cap's now out of mana and still in a situation where the wave is just about even.
Still a very dangerous game that MDK are playing. Fresskowy is not very healthy, and if you end up going for some of these fights, he can easily fall. You've got push for Hansama in top lane, the arrow available as well. Myrwn is sitting duck, so if you invest all this time onto the bottom side of the map, you're giving a lot of control on this top half to G2.
Hansama now put up against Myrwn. In the meantime, Supa matched up against Brokenblade. Of course, the swap happened a few minutes ago. MDK have not opted to swap back, but Supa finally able to reset, might change it.
8 minutes into the game, and the fan support is still very strong for G2. It definitely feels like a G2 favored audience.
It might be because we're sat directly in front of a lot of G2 fans. One of them has a drum, so it's
one of them does.
While there are other people in the arena, we mostly hear just this group of people.
I did talk to some of them during the break, and they were like, "We can't hear any of the cast. All we hear is drum." So, I think it's a little loud.
Sounds like they're having a good time.
Drum, the original co-screen.
The cowbell was with them earlier too, ready for the full.
They're just making a band over here.
Yeah, let's get Don't Fear the Reaper going. Someone will be scared of it.
Now we are kind of waiting for these neutrals to respawn. Both teams quite happy to just trade across the map. Part of the reason why you move Hansa. Oh,
Mikyx locked up. Fresskowy. Battle Dance stops any follow-up angle there. Didn't have the Q3 either, however.
But part of the reason why you do this is to start funneling experience into your AD carry. So Hans now gets solo experience. Supa's in the same position. They're not really in any kill threats. Myrwn's unlikely to kill Hans, and the same could be said for Brokenblade into Supa. It's just this trading back and forth. Instead, what you see is the jungler is also now being opened up to move with that support jungle combo and start setting up that deep vision. You already saw it earlier from Alvaro pinging out on the red buff, and now you can see G2 responding like, hey, Alvaro was on my red buff earlier, I don't know if it's still there, so he's asking for support, and this is where this mid-game dynamic becomes a lot about vision control, pressure on the map, and this is something that G2 really got the better of MDK in the previous game.
Definitely did. The setup now for the dive. Brokenblade can go unstoppable, is already ghosted, but so much damage coming through. Watch out, eat, baby. Brokenblade going down quick. Mikyx not able to lock up Alvaro, the person tanking the tower. A clean dive from MDK.
Yeah, Mikyx flashed in, I think, to get some sort of shield, but was way too late. Didn't even try and burn the heal, so just a summoner down now for the G2 support alongside the top lane dropping as well. It's a big win for MDK, because when you look, a minute and a half until Dragon, 30 seconds until the next set of Void Grubs, a potential fight with no summoners on Mikyx could help out massively.
And that's the kind of play that might not have been possible with the Ivern in the previous game, right? You're getting a lot more damage out of that Lillia. The setup is much easier to pull off that kind of play and punish G2 for putting that Ashe on the top side, for leaving Brokenblade alone in a lane where he's going to lose the push.
I was honestly surprised to see a Cassante CC'd for that long. I was expecting the Unstoppable to come through, but it didn't happen until after all of the chain CC had landed. So credit to MDK, very clean dive.
So Void Grubs are now up. MDK lack the ultimate from Supa though, so have to be a little bit careful about how they approach this. And I think G2 trying to play off that timing window, and MDK might just have to respect it. Also with the push on bot lane for Brokenblade, it looks like MDK going to be pulled away from the objectives.
I mean, TP available for Brokenblade. He's going to go straight back to that lane and grab himself some plates. You can see the farm not quite as close as it was in the previous game. It does largely help the fact that MDK was able to find that dive on the stacked wave, but G2 still in a very comfortable position as Caps continues to build his lead.
And the staggered respawn of objectives means that MDK aren't really able to grab a cross map quite yet. They might go for the re-dive onto Brokenblade. Myrwn luckily despite the man advantage G2 have brought to the top side, is able to clear the wave. 6 scrub buff, we saw it so many times in Game 2 and Game 1 as well. Can make the push very easy. Myrwn may be forced to ult, and he does so now. But Yike is here. Myrwn's in trouble. Mikyx trying to chase. Quick flash out. Not able to find the charm. Bit of a split focus. And while Myrwn has to deal with a couple of mites, he's still standing for now.
TP now coming in though.
TP in. Immediate CC. Mikyx does not have the knockup. One more auto from Hansama's going to do it. He gets the kill down. In the meantime, TP into the bottom lane from G2. Desperate to cover that, but it's 3 members coming in. That might have been a little bit too much, Caps. Not ready for the surprise attack from MDK. Thought he could keep that tower standing.
It's hits all over the place. G2 successful in top lane. MDK on bot, but Broken Blade is here.
But they just hit the tower. And then all right, setup is there. Trying to go in onto Alvaro. Everyone's dancing.
He's trying to thin out the wave as much as possible. He's going to succeed.
And they don't have mites.
I didn't get to see what happened to Caps earlier in the logic behind that TP, because it felt that Broken Blade has already gotten away to safety once the TP had come in. I'd understand it more if it was happening while Broken Blade was in the middle of the fight, but Caps ends up giving away the kill. The same thing happening on the top side. Myrwn doing his absolute best to survive that, but Hansama's arrow doing way too much work. Does mean, though, that the Dragon will be secured by Elyoya, the second of the game. This bot lane tower is getting very low, and we find ourselves Game 3 very close in terms of gold, but Supa with a 1k gold lead.
It is a great dive from G2 on the top side. They basically bait out a ton of the spells early, so they have their cooldowns to come back in. But on the bottom side, as Vedi already said, Broken Blade kind of made it out of this one. But then you got Caps committing to the TP. Maybe thought Broken Blade would be able to come back in, or he could clear out the wave quickly, as you can see there. But there's so much CC that even if the wave does die, he's just going to go with it. A really clean dive from MDK on the opposite side.
I also wonder if he just thought that Elyoya was on the top side of the map. But even then, I think they could have 2v1'd him with, the chain CC was great. Mikyx, he's not going to be in any danger. He's on Rakan, gets away to safety. But you can see the back and forth, the prodding, both teams very similar in skill level. Kind of, when we think back to the previous series, shouldn't really come as a surprise. Mad Lions, Koi have proven that they can go toe-to-toe with G2. And they're demonstrating it here in Game 3, a very close game.
And as we look ahead, 4 minutes till that third Drake spawns. It's MDK with the luxury of choosing if they want to fight for it or play for the side lanes. G2 kind of forced to deny that sole point. And MDK, so powerful in the 5v5, if they get set up first, it's pretty impossible for G2 to get involved in that objective.
It's not just the 5v5, it's the 4v4, the 3v3. That's what they're leveraging here so much. You can even see they lean to get the push mid, now lean to get the control on bot, get these towers, push G2 back, and Hansama has to be so careful.
Oh. Sidestep good. Sleep could have come through, but the rest of the team there to cover. And one more auto from Supa will finish the job.
But this is clean from MDK, and it was something that really was missing from their gameplay over the course of spring into the start of summer as well, was just this clean coordination, this ability to look for dives and plays and side lanes. It's coming to fruition now, though, at just the perfect time. This team is having a great moment in the season finals.
Myrwn happy to be up against Broken Blade once again. Maybe not too happy as he does have a completed item, but you can see, compared to the previous game, stacking much slower because he spent so much time laning against an Ashe who can so easily poke him and stop his poke in return.
Myrwn just going to play it safe. Rift Herald up and available though, and it's a quicker reset for G2. They've already established themselves in River. Fresskowy's only just gone for the reset himself and no TP, so again, topside objectives heavily favoring G2 with the position they've been able to gain for themselves on the map.
And I think the big thing here is you can see the advantage Caps has built for himself, having that fully completed item, whereas Fresskowy has only just now completed the Blade of the Rune King, allowing him to secure that mid prio. Turning now into that Herald. We'll see where G2 want to use it. Once again, they give it to their mid laner, knowing that he can put it to good use in the side lane.
MDK are kind of missing out on these opportunities to work with Supa's ultimate though, so this next Dragon is going to be crucial for MDK. You're hitting 2 items for Supa. Play for this big moment with that MF ult, but G2 finding picks. Have they gone in?
Mikyx now turning back, trying to burn through Elyoya. Low health bar, and instantly the fawn deleted, taken out. Alvaro running, burning, ticking. Broken Blade off to the side, can lock up Supa effortlessly. Now going to try to ult him back into his team. W comes through, he holds it, he waits, he takes his time. Going all out against Supa. Supa, the lifesteal now coming in. Ulti is there! Anticipating the move from Broken Blade. He gets the kill back, but it's still G2 on the mid lane tower. In the meantime, Myrwn in the top lane desperately wants to get something back.
Broken Blade, he was a little too overconfident in that play, but G2, they still find 2 picks, and they secure the mid tower. The Lillia was the big change that we see from MDK, giving them more power in the early game, but it's still a very squishy champion, and getting caught out in the river thanks to Hansama and Mikyx made for an easy pick. G2 find themselves a big advantage in terms of map control.
And it was just great play from G2, understanding, hang on a second, we don't actually have to position ourselves in top wave. We can pull in 4 members, make the play happen, and find that pick. But Myrwn, find a bit of Caps damage here. You do have to be careful, Mom is available, and you know, we trapped underneath the tower with it, but Caps going to clear out the wave and move back. But we see it as we come into this fight, they don't have to actually deal with top wave, it's in a neutral position, which means that Caps is able to come down. Myrwn's only walking back, and we already said you've no TP available for the Yone, so quick pick onto Elyoya. Hansama is able to flash away, and Broken Blade, we don't really talk about what Broken Blade was up to, but at the bottom of the side of the fight, Alvaro is able to get picked off as well, so G2 making a 2-for-1 on the trade.
And I think the big thing here is there's one 80 carry in the meta who builds Bloodthirster first, and it's that 80 carry, and it does make the difference. Supa prancing his way back into mid lane, strutting his stuff.
Supa is very strong, though.
Yeah.
I mean, giving a kill over, even if... Oh.
He's rich. Thank you, Santander. He's rich and strong.
Yes,
what a combo.
I think this game is going to come largely down to Caps versus Supa. His positioning is going to be crucial. Oh, ulti from Alvaro.
MDK just trying to hold on to control of the Dragon Pit. Myrwn will lose 1 tower, but won't have to give up much else. G2 trying their best to set up a favorable exchange here at the Dragon. Now using the TP. Where is Yike's ulti going to go? The big question. The flank now coming in. Not the flank support TP coming in instantly. G2 going to find the combo. Supa deleted. You said if any, it comes down to him, but now it might have to be Fresskowy instead. Everybody's taking a nap on the side of G2, but the follow-up is not there. A split fight from MDK costs them so much. Even as Cap's health bar burns down, G2 will take the Drake.
They were trying to set up, but there was no one in position to be that tank. No one to deny G2 access to river, and they will happily take that fight against MDK, catching everyone off guard, and they get the Dragon as well.
There's just no one to stop Mikyx's engage. He finds the angle, and he's going to take it. Keep track of Mikyx as he locks onto his target. Supa near the front line. Alvaro standing in his way. Goes for a bit of a poke, and that was the mistake. Flash in from Yike, the immediate follow-up damage. But this return damage from the Yone plus the Lillia was massive. Oh, and Myrwn as well. Like, MDK clearly have the damage. They just weren't set up properly for this fight, and they weren't ready for the collapse.
Oh my god, what an angle. But that's the thing, if you got an auto from Supa, anything from that 80 carry, that could have been enough, but G2 find their moment, and now they're looking for one more potentially on this top side.
MDK, have they caught out Caps, overloading the side lane, but the blue trinket comes through, and now it's G2 on the hunt. Arrow, X-Flash from Alvaro. A good catch to be sure, but this ain't a game of baseball, baby. League of Legends means that's going to cost him. Now Broken Blade going in, finding the knockback onto 2. Yike, then a follow-up. Domination from G2.
It's a home run from G2. Alvaro gets smacked down with the arrow, and now they will turn over to the Baron right as it spawns. It's the perfect moment for G2.
Absolute devastation for MDK. They thought that they were creating a collapse onto Caps, but instead it was they who were collapsed on. 3 members down, the Baron secured, and G2 looking to take firm control over Game 3.
The threat range of this G2 composition, Rakan leaping forward, Cassante immediately to extend his dash range with the footwork, just makes it so hard to play this out.
But this is heartbreaking from Alvaro. He's like, don't worry boys, no, we're here. I'm gonna set up the play. Oh, okay, I gotta tank it for you. Because let's be real, that would have hit Fresskowy, that could have been significantly worse from the get-go, but it doesn't matter. G2, they've already got the position. The Ghost coming through from Broken Blade chases down multiple members of MDK, and it's an easy pickings for the G2 side.
And it could have been a heroic moment, leaping in front of your carries to catch an arrow, but when they die too, you just walk away embarrassed.
G2 now with the Baron buff. Caps at the forefront, being as fed as he is on this Corki. MDK have to be asking themselves, is this Corki bit just a problem? G2 said it was, and they took it for themselves. But with Yike right behind him.
I was gonna say, do we forget the 7-kill brand in the previous game? This duo, again, we talk so much about the premier mid-jungle duos in Europe. Yike and Caps really making a difference in game 2 and 3.
They certainly are. Mikyx, ooh, getting a bit close to that tower there. As Broken Blade does have the Baron buff, he's creating that extra point of pressure. Caps with a quick rotation over to mid. And now this two-pronged attack is Fresskowy's isolated top. MDK don't have the resources to keep this tower alive. They're happy to concede it for now.
But they just get to rotate quicker to the bottom side, and now they're going to be setting up once more. Myrwn trying to move into position on bot side, gets pushed in mid, but you're outnumbered here.
TP here. No Q3 for Fresskowy, but he will have the ulti available. Mom called. Fresskowy going to try to backstep, interrupt the CC as best he can, but he's so weak, he only has a single item. Yike caught out, though, and again, Supa finding the angle, backed up by Alvaro with the CC to get the kill onto Yike.
A nice combo from MDK. I thought that the TP flank was going to be too ambitious, but they make the ultimate from Elyoya combined with Supa to take out Yike. They get themselves a bit of extra gold, they slow down the siege from G2, and they buy themselves a few extra opportunities to turn this game around.
And that might be it, that Dragon in a minute's time. The fact they get G2 pushed off their turrets, they can get a reset in, they can take a breather, crucially, before this next fight. That maybe just gives them that bit of an inch to get into this fight, but again, G2, they have so much. You're looking at nearly 3 items completed for Caps, 2 already completed for Hansama as well, and Fresskowy, he just doesn't have the damage, even on these flank positions, to threaten G2.
Fresskowy's job now, at the deficit that he's at, is to set up for other members of his team, to be the CC necessary for Supa to full channel that ultimate for multiple members, or for Elyoya to find the sleep. But it's a difficult position to be in as the Yone. Caps is just so damn far ahead. Siege now coming in on the bottom side. Baron buff empowering them. The wave clear, not terrible from MDK, but honestly not great. No traditional control mage to help stop this push. G2 retreating to the choke, and it's a good bit of poke from Supa. The Swirl Seed doesn't connect, so there's no immediate follow-up.
That's the combo down, though. It may just be a concede from MDK on the Dragon, hoping maybe they can poke them back with the Broken Blade.
Gets a little hyphy, pushes his W button, and it's all just okay.
I don't think you can do
We
this
have
as
a
MDK.
desk, just to clarify. Some fans petitioning to get us a desk. The Dragon gonna be secured.
I appreciate the rapid sign creation in our time of need. No, we're good.
That's very kind of you. Thank you, guys.
The desk is behind us. We just like to be close to the action.
Now with the Dragon down, we're setting up for the Baron in about 2 minutes' time. MDK have done a good job of weathering the storm. They ended up only losing that mid-tier 2. And this just means that it gives them more time to get to those items. You can see Supa very close to that Infinity Edge. Once he gets it, he's already doing good damage with the ultimate, but it's only going to get stronger. The problem is Caps and Yike, this duo, look at how strong they are. Broken Blade being incredibly tanky on the top side as well. You feel like that even with the strengths of MDK's comp, you just give the advantage to G2 with their itemization if the fight does start.
And so much, as you highlighted, hinges on Supa's ult, and there's just such good tools from G2. As long as they know where Supa is, the Rakan engage, Broken Blade, the ability to ghost it and point and click.
I mean, I said it earlier, but 007, Agent Mikyx, the man has not been stopped. He has found so many great engages. He's been involved in every single kill that G2 has been able to find this game. And while the man has been criticized in the season finals for overextending, when that man is locked in, he is locked in.
Caps caught out of it here. Immediate follow. Ulti comes through. Quick pick on the side lane. G2 now responding. Hansama continuing to step up. Solar Flare down. Alvaro cut down. Arrow to follow. Connecting on Elyoya. The damage coming in. And here comes the cavalry. 007 trying to find a way in. Casino Royale, baby, as G2 start cashing out with the fire back. Not enough. Hansama still standing. MDK trying to hold on to the top lane. Mom called, but not doing enough.
Mikyx keeps Hans alive at the end. The backstep under the tower to be in range of the heal to then get the bonus movement speed to get away to safety. Caps gets caught in the side, but the rest of G2 are there to salvage the situation. G2 holds control of the game, but MDK, their fangs are still hungry for the throat of G2.
They certainly are, and on the side of G2, Mikyx continues to have an all-star performance. He said himself in the interview with Esports, Everyone talking about him, the criticism overblown, the narrative overblown. He's still the same player. They got MVP last year. And here you can see it when he saves his support, even if he couldn't save his mid laner.
But it's the same every time. G2 just collapsing so quickly. Alvaro goes down, and that's the tank done for. The follow-up with Hans Sama's ultimate is perfect, and then Broken Blade ghosting underneath the tower gives Mikyx all the access he needs onto the back line. And there was an attempt from Supa desperately to get something back, but there is zero you can do when G2 is on form like this.
G2, we're here again, the lines of scrimmage drawn, but it's Caps on the flank. The arrow connected on the little baby dragon, the knock up there. Elyoya sprinting out, he knows it's done. Hansama unstoppable. G2 find the pick, the Baron in their sights.
The pick potential from Hansama is just unrivaled. They couldn't demonstrate it in game 1, but in game 2 and game 3, they just keep catching MDK out.
We went from how to train your dragon to how to frame it on your living room wall. It has been brutal for Myrwn, and now as the Baron falls to G2, how do you try and come back? Time and again, MDK have gone for these squishy comps. They hope they can find moments to fight against G2, but they have rallied in game 2 and 3. They have closed rank, they've gave nothing, and anytime MDK think they found an opening, it's just a bait for G2 to run them through.
And MDK thought, hey, it was a single piece, one or two things that might have been wrong. If we adjust, we can come back stronger in game 3. And while the first few minutes might have looked better, the answer is no, it was not enough. G2 close to moving on to match point. MDK gonna need to dig deep in this game. They do not want to give them that advantage.
There's that set drum we were talking about.
Yeah, that's right in front of us.
Yeah.
Very, very pounding. Fun fact, bass travels very far.
Yeah.
In this case, not very far into our eardrums.
Fun fact, so does movement in the ground we're standing on.
To be fair, love the enthusiasm. Love the passion of the fans here in Munich.
I respect that they're on beats. That's rare for a crowd. Dragon, 15 seconds. Crowd calms as MDK sets up position in the river. Fog of War, strong. G2 see very little. Mikyx fishing. They've got to be careful, though.
Myrwn just now hit 275, the threshold for the execute. A little bit more power in the fight. Is it enough to find and eliminate those priority targets on G2? But G2 might not even need to worry about it. They get mid-push first.
Flashes down so much across the board.
Top side. They don't care about this Drake. They don't care about Soul Point. They're happy to just break open the base. MDK, we're hoping for the 5v5, hoping for the angle, but they're just going to concede so much.
The arrow.
The arrow!
Connect. Elyoya. He's stunned. The inhibitor goes down. That's 1. That's 2 for G2.
Hansama or Prey, hard to be sure. Arrows hitting. G2, instant recall, obliterating the base.
And now they can just set their sights onto the bot tier 2. MDK, they put themselves on Soul Point, a potential win condition, but the cost, it may have been too much. Now those super minions are going to be making their way down top, making their way down mid, and Broken Blade emoting to his team that, hey, we have a clear objective and it is bot lane.
And these next 4 minutes are going to be the longest 4 minutes of MDK's life. They will have to fight tooth and nail if they hope to hold on. Super minions coming in top and mid lane. G2 at their throats, but can they keep them at bay for just a little bit longer?
Recall will complete. Tier 2 already dead, and MDK know it. They'll just concede that objective. 1 inhibitor standing, 1 inhibitor tower to protect it.
Fresskowy is looking for a TP. The Ward is there, ready.
Arrow again, finding Myrwn. Broken Blade stepping up, looking for the Q3. Alvaro off to the side. Keep your eyes on Supa. That ult has to be everything, but already Alvaro burning Blaze, taking him down. Myrwn calling in Mom. The ulti not going to get from Supa. They've got too many sums up and available. Mikyx, the perfect angle, anticipates the backstep. Hansama cutting them down, and G2 on the cusp of match point. One dragon, not enough.
Mikyx marks the spot as to where MDK once stood as G2 hold the minions and look for the end.
Myrwn running. He'll get a kill back onto Caps, but it shouldn't be enough. A backstep is good, a bit of hope, but G2, they just auto the Nexus. And with confidence, they get close to match point. The knockup will seal the deal, and G2 2-1 up on Mad Lion's Koi.
Another controlled game. There were moments for MDK, but they told G2, go on, run that composition back again. We have an answer, and G2 said, okay, bro, more than happy to. Match point now for G2.
Run it back, run them over. G2 looked unstoppable, but we're going to have to see if they can find that success after Thursday's break.
Red Bull gives you wings.
Can't believe we lost to NA.
We'll be fine.
Yeah, we always are.
Yeah.
Psst, Pedro, do you and Laure want to go on a legendary adventure with Marriott Bonvoy? Just go ahead and press that button. Over 30 hotel brands, 10,000 global destinations, over 8,000 hotels worldwide. Where can we take you?
Oh, it's Berlin.
Let's go.
Marriott Bonvoy. Unlock exclusive member rates and legendary benefits across over 30 hotel brands worldwide. Sign up today for free and claim your Masterwork chest and key.
Somos los que surgimos de donde nadie esperaba. Los que vimos que algo nuevo empezaba. Somos el grito que atraviesa tu pantalla. Locos, frikis, ídolos y haters. Nada nos define, nada nos detiene. Bienvenidos todos los que llegan. Aquí nadie queda fuera. El camino que nos queda es tu inicio, tu carrera. Sube el nivel de lo que llega. Porque cada día un progreso nos espera. Level up your dreams.